Cool. So we got Plan Weekly, March 25th. Looks like John is up first.
Yeah, just a quick one. You probably know about it by now, but it is Team Day, or what would have been Team Day at Contribute. So we're having a remote Team Day instead. All day, please join the Slack channel, arrange games with your teammates when you have free time. We also have a Team Fortress 2 server now, and after this call, we'll have a dedicated Zoom room so you can join all your teammates and kill them. Yeah, that's it. Mark, you're up next. Mark's just here. Yeah, you good to go, Mark?
Hello.
Mark, I think you're at bat now.
Oh, am I?
Number 2, yeah.
Number 2, excellent. Yeah, the service desk is moving to core. I think people were generally aware of that, but if not, want to make sure everybody knows what's going on. The real idea here is that we're trying to drive adoption for the service desk, and at premium, it wasn't really a compelling factor to upgrade to premium. So hopefully with core, we'll get a lot more community contribution, which would be excellent. And we can kind of pursue some of those really interesting things we want to do with it based on the community contribution. So that'd be great. If there are any questions, let me know.
Are we moving the feature wholesale? Like with epics to premium, we split out single level epics, but with service desk, we're moving the entire feature.
The current plan is to move the entire feature of what we have thus far, because basically the idea would be if we want to build on top of it later and put those at higher tiers, we would do things like have a web interface or, something like that. And we might put that in starter. Or if we go into like an advanced help desk situation where we can have knowledge pages. So as people type in questions, they get knowledge-based articles or something that pop up out of our wiki or those types of integrations. We may move those to something like premium, but this way we can build on top of it as we see fit. But everybody gets the benefit of having it in core and sort of going through and allowing people to contribute more. People seem to really want to contribute to it too. So that's, hopefully that will encourage that.
I just added the last bullet there. Check out that issue. There's actually more to come as well. Nothing to action on now, like we don't need to prioritize anything. But a group of people have been looking at what other features to move to core in open source. So there's some smaller ones like related issues and like focus mode on issue boards that we'll eventually pick up and talk about, but just so everyone's aware.
And if you look at the epic that issue I linked to is on, there's actually a full list of epics that breaks it down as well. So I'll add that link as well. That's another way of looking at it.
Cool. I have the next item. We have a lot of issues that have come in performance. Issues that I think come from the weekly performance board grooming. Most of these, if not all of them, are project management. But I'm kind of wondering like how we should best go about prioritizing these. 3 out of the 5 are S2s, which would make them, I guess, high priority. But we also have this may be a different scale from the one we would use for bugs. And also some of these issues will have multiple fixes. So a good example would be listing projects through the API. That endpoint is slow, but it's slow for a number of reasons, and it degrades with the number of projects. So there may be multiple fixes. So this is really a question for the PMs, I think, like how would you want to prioritize these kinds of issues? Is it one per milestone? What happens when we have, 3 S2s pop in at once and we need to do them, potentially within 60 days?
One question that I have about some of this, like, have we verified, this isn't the first time I've seen issues like this, performance issues. And when I've seen them before, the benchmarks are sort of like not realistic. So like, I do think that there's performance problems in the product, but like how, can you weigh in, like how realistic are these based on the scenarios that they were run against? Like who's going to create 200 projects. What is that? The improved performance group details API. 10K reference environment and gets a group with 100 projects at 200 requests per second. I guess like, do we have anything that actually runs that fast for this given endpoint?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know what the typical, like how many clients would be running a self-hosted instance at that level, and I don't know what the stats are for .com. That said, anytime we see a performance degradation like I'm not sure which issue you're referring to there, but the one in particular for the project list endpoint, that degrades exponentially with numbers of projects. So anytime I see something like that, it rings alarm bells. It's also possible that just because it's S2, so the severity is high, that we don't necessarily have to make the priority high if we feel that it's not likely to impact customers.
Is this kind of so did all of these issues come in just this past week? And is that typical for a week? Have you been seeing up to 5 issues?
Yeah, I haven't seen any for a while. This, I guess, comes from, it's like the issues themselves are a week old or more, but they get groomed and triaged once a week, and they ended up on our radar. I think this is probably part of the continual improvement of the quality discipline and like the new kind of processes that they have. So it's possible we'll see more of this in future weeks, but like to get 5, I mean, these came on my radar this morning, so to get 5 in one go is quite a lot.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if we look at, I mean, depending on the actual priority and severity of these, but if we kind of take the same approach we take with bugs and maybe try to dedicate, I don't know, a milestone to tackling one or two of these. I don't know, but we could probably do it on a case-by-case basis, depending on how severe they really are, how urgent they really are.
There's also the thing that like the projects list is the API endpoint is slow for a number of reasons. It's slow, as I said, it degrades according to the issue description exponentially with the number of projects, but also degrades if you use certain attributes. So if you put owner to true, it slows down quite substantially. Those are 2 separate fixes, potentially multiple fixes. So there's also the possibility we promote some of these things to epics, and we tackle an issue at a time until we get the thing under its 500 milliseconds target.
So I think one of the best things to help us understand it so we can help plan it is just high level idea of how big it is, like each of these. So even if it's just like t-shirt sizing and weighting that we just do in the comments, just something to help us understand how big we think it could be. And then, balancing that with the most severe ones, we could then try to put them in at least in like a stack order that we want to tackle them, and then move through more granular planning from there.
This also might be a point to bring up our prioritization framework. Basically, I'm looking at that in the handbook right now, and performance isn't in there anywhere. It's like a thing. Like availability is up there. Security's first, data loss second, availability third. I'll just put this in here, but I don't see that performance is something that like should be prioritized higher than other things. So I think here, let me add this in here. Also, I'll make a note to follow up and ask about like business impact, if that makes sense, because I would like to understand, like, is this dependent on X amount of large 25K user, deals that we're trying to work on. So I would like to have that information as well. So I'll follow up on each of these issues too and ask that.
Okay, thanks. Maybe as initial triage, I'll add rough priority labels, and the PM can sort of do a sanity check on those labels based on what you think customer needs or impact on customers would be.
Okay.
All right. So next point is mine. I want us to start demoing a little bit more. I think the intent a while back was to demo more things, just kind of show off the progress that we've been making as a team. I don't think we've really done it yet. So I want us to start doing that, and I am choosing to demo one. And typically I'd have the engineers that actually worked on it, or we'd have the engineers that actually worked on it demo. But I just pinged Kong a few minutes ago, so I won't make him do that. I'll just go ahead and demo this. It is, actually, let me share it first. All right, the ability to edit health status on the sidebar. So I believe, well, I know Kong worked on the front end. I believe Philippe worked on the back end primarily. But it is now in master. It's behind a feature flag, so we don't see it anywhere on GitLab.com yet. So I'll go ahead and demo it locally. Okay, so here's an issue. We just have it on the sidebar now. Status, there's none. We have the option for, we have the option for either on track, needs attention, at risk, select it there. Updates here, perfect, on track. There's a couple follow-up issues, primarily the ability to remove the status. So we'll take care of that before we turn on the feature flag. As you can see, you can change it here. And that's that component. Next issue, next part of this, next iteration is getting this to actually show outside of the issue view. So if we go into Epic Tree, being able to quickly see not only the individual statuses for issues, but a roll-up count to the parent epic. So that should be Rajat's working on the front end of that, and that should be into GitLab.com by 12/10. Questions?
That's great, Don. Thanks for showing. I'm excited.
Sure.
I think it's pretty cool too. I'm more excited about when we get to figuring out how we automate that label and setting that label based on like various health things on an issue. So like if an issue typically takes like 5 days to complete, and it's like 2 days left in the milestone, and I don't know how we're going to do it, but I think that's going to be the fun part about this, and it's great for stuff.
I mean, time tracking, weight, dates. There's a lot of rules stuff we could do around it, but I think we got to ease into it a little bit.
Yeah. Good job, everyone.
Cool. All right, Alex, you're up next.
Yeah, just a short kind of update on the GUI import. We have quite like several MRs currently in review, working towards the MVC, but we need like 2 of them to be able to start demoing something and be able to actually poke around and just start some imports and see how's it going and so on. So yeah, hopefully I do hope by the end of the week we'll have the mesh, but we'll see how the reviews. So yeah, just as a quick update on that.
Cool. Thanks, Alex.
Cool. I think I have the next item. I spun up an ad hoc retrospective because I wanted us to, like, I guess, talk openly about some challenges that I've been facing as a PM. And just like it's not related to just this stage. So like I think it's a problem that I've noticed across all stages. And as I've been looking at like open issues right now, discussing adding more KPIs like around merge request efficiency. Like I think like I'm starting to see this pattern where like we have engineers who are working on merge requests and PMs who are working on issues, and we have everyone's like trying to do their best. But like I would like us to start working together to figure out how to collaborate together more effectively. So just take time to read the issue, and some of the things that have been linked, please contribute to it and collaborate. Like I said, I think John, you said this and you can verbalize it too, but contrarian opinions are definitely welcome. It's just the sort of thing where I would like to figure out how to be a better product manager for our stage, and better support the engineers, but ultimately so that we can better deliver customer value and business results. So please participate. And I'm thankful that you will hopefully take the time to do so.
Yeah, thanks for kicking that off, Gabe.
Yeah, like I added a couple items but yeah, firstly, like thanks for taking the time to actually write that out. And I think like it can be useful, certainly for me anyway, to get the perspective from your point of view. I don't think it's obvious at all how motivations can be different for different roles within the team. From the point of view of delivering things in the same milestone, we have a lot of focus on iteration. Currently, we have resources in the handbook that are being gathered into training issues, and that is kind of being demoed with combinations, I believe, of PMs and EMs. I definitely got an issue anyway, and I've linked it there. We also have iteration officers with SID later, so that's probably one thing we could like all continually improve at. But I do think that like maybe there's some kind of lesson to be taken from the Jira importer, in the way that we've had, one or two people responsible for the work, but we've pulled together as a team to do reviews within the team, to kind of monitor progress of that really closely and to kind of ruthlessly manage scope to try and make it. And we've drawn resources from elsewhere to make that happen. So maybe there are some lessons in that as well. Anyway, I'll add my thoughts to the issue, but that's just some initial thoughts I had.
Cool. Everyone, please read that issue. Keenan?
Yeah, I mentioned this yesterday, but I thought maybe it's something we could talk about in our meeting and just talk through it, like post milestone board triage or cleanup. Like, I mean, when we have issues that are past review, like there's still a couple items still assigned at 12.9 and they're in verification. And I'm not sure if that means that we're continuing to like count the weight completed, finished into 12.9, or if we should carry it over to 12.10. I'm just not sure. I don't know. We should talk about it and figure out what we want to do with that, because at least for me, like the best way for me to keep track on where stuff is without bugging everybody is the board. And usually I scope my board back to the current milestone as soon as we kick it off. And there was a couple items missing, and then I found out they're still in the 12.9. They're still assigned to 12.9. So I just wanted to open up a conversation on how we want to, like, the day the milestones ends, what gets moved over and what doesn't. I guess if you guys have any clarity on what we're doing now, or maybe we haven't thought about it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I think primarily it's issues that are still in verification, a couple days outside of the 22nd. Right, Keenan?
Yeah, that's the current example. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the problem there is that if something is pushed in 12.9 on the cutoff day, so on say the 18th, it may not show up on GitLab.com until the 22nd or so. But that should also still make it in 12.9 because it was before the cutoff. but we don't verify it until it actually shows up on GitLab.com. So I think maybe if we on the 22nd, because I think by the 22nd, it should be on GitLab.com. So if we make an effort as a team to every engineer that's responsible for, or that is still the assignee on an issue that is in verification, if we could just go in there and update it on the 22nd, if it's on GitLab.com, close it out. If it's not, then that means it didn't make it in the milestone anyway. So let's go ahead and move it forward to the next milestone.
Okay.
Does that work for everyone? Does that make sense? Cool.
No, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for taking quick notes there, Keenan.
I got you.
Just appeared. All right. Anyone have anything else? Otherwise, we have some time. We can go have a quick session of TF2.
Let it all out. Let's go.
Nice. All righty. I'm stopping recording. See you all elsewhere. Thank you.
Bye.